Hi, I thought I'd talk to you about spirit guides today. I get asked about this all the time, and it's what I call one of my 101 classes because it's so important to what we do when we're working psychically, mediumistically, intuitively, however you want to call it. So what do you need to know about guides? They're not brownies, they're not girl guides, they're spirit guides, and we all have a guide that we were born with and we will die with. They are here for the whole of our life. They knew what they were signing up to, God help them, okay? I often feel really sorry for my guides. So that main guide is there to work with you and complete whatever your life mission might be. Now you may not know what it is, but they do, and they will gently try and push you in the right direction, which is why we get prompted to do stuff that feels random, and then we're surprised with where that random act goes. We also have other guides, and these ones can change, and they can change multiple times. So let's say that you've got a skill set that includes mediumship, healing, tarot, platform medium, dowsing and house clearances and stuff like that. Each of those different skills require a guide. So think of them as like a head of department. Now, when you're kind of just dabbling, you can get away with a first school teacher. If you're going to do it more seriously, then you're going to need university level, okay? So for argument's sake, when I started doing this just for a hobby and a bit of fun, the guide that I had was more than adequate. But when I started doing this full time and came across all sorts of different scenarios and different kind of problems and things, I needed a different guide that had more experience, okay? And so at that point I had a change of guide. So to find out who your guide is, to find out information about them, I don't know, their name's David and they come from Syria and you had a past life with them and they're here to do X, Y, and Z with you, you are going to have to meditate. It isn't something that I can give you because the whole point of your voyage of discovery is that it's you discovering it. Otherwise, that's like me giving you the answers to the math questions. So you can't take a pill, you can't get this information in a heartbeat, but you can get it. So on my website, if you need it, there's a guided meditation about meeting your guides, or you can just sit and think, right, I want to meet my guides. And there's other ways of doing it as well. Now, what you've got to do really is take your time with this. So you need a diary. And in that diary, you are going to log what you experience when you meditate. And then you can compare it. You can find the similarities. You can find the differences. You'll also mean that you don't need to remember stuff because our brains get fuzzy. And sometimes when we think something has happened, we make it reality when actually that didn't happen. Okay? So it's really important. Now, what I tend to find is that people struggle with meditating. So if you're going to sit and meditate, it's really important that you go with a clear intent. So let's say you want to meet your main guide. Do a scan of yourself. So how do you feel? Are you hot? Are you cold? Do you feel shivery? Do you have back pain? You know, what's going on with you? And then sit and meditate and then have a look at what's happening during that meditation. Do you feel cobwebs all over your face? Have you suddenly got goose pimples? Do you feel hot or cold all of a sudden? Do you feel like your posture has changed? All of that is important. Also become aware of energy around you, because sometimes it's just going to be a feeling, or you're going to know, you're not going to necessarily see anything. So does it feel male? Does it feel female? Ask them, okay? And you're going to have to play 20 questions here. So for me, if I get a no, then just like nothing happens. If it's a yes, then I get like a flip-flop in my stomach. So if I were meditating and I got my main guide I wanted to meet and I could feel an energy, I would then ask, are you male? And see what my physiological response is. If I don't get anything, I'd then ask, are you female? Okay, and then I'm going to get a yes, because they're going to be one or the other unless I've got an animal guide, but generally your main guide is a person, not an animal. And your guide is not going to be a family member. Your main guide is not going to be a family member, because they would have been born with you and died with you. So any relative that has been on this earth plane in your lifetime, even if it was just for a month before they died, they just won't be your guide. And also they're emotionally invested. So it's not easy for them to make objective decisions for you. Now, that's not to say that they won't be around you and they won't be helping you, because they can, but they won't be your main guide, okay? So let's go back to the meditation then. We're working with our main guide. You may have to meditate every day for a week to find out everything that you need to. Humans are obsessed with names. We name our cars, we name our boats, our houses, everything. So if you desperately need to get a name for your guide, then feel free. But if you don't have a name for them, they don't really care. They know who they're talking to, and you know who you're talking to, and that's all that matters. So another problem that I find is that when we get information, we question it and we go, oh my God, is that just my imagination, or was that actually right? So imagine then that you've felt this person, you know it's a male and you want a name. Ask them to give you a name. Now, you might get something bog standard like, I don't know, David, Mary, Joe, whatever. But you also might get something that sounds a bit more exotic, or like it's from a foreign country, and that's fine too. Now, if you're not sure whether your brain has just given you a load of gobbledygook, write it down in your journal and ask Spirit to confirm it to you during the day. And you will see it, you will hear it, you will stumble across it in some shape or form. Now, if you're still not sure, which I'm guilty of this one early on, ask them again once you've had that first confirmation. And if you have to ask a third time, ask. But what you'll find is that after the third time, you're not going to need to ask anymore, because it'll just be like, okay, I hear you, all right? And then you can do that with each of your other guides. So sit with the intent, go, right, I'd like to meet a guide. And then see who comes forward, and then work with them over a few days until you feel that you've got a lot of information about them, and then move on to another guide, okay? Now, what you have to bear in mind is you're trying to build your trust here with your guides, because at the end of the day, if a complete stranger walked up to you and asked you to trust everything they're saying or doing, the chances are you're not going to. So why would you do that with a spirit entity? Okay, so it is hugely important that you build that trust, so that if you're asking for information and you're working with that guide, you will trust it. Okay, so it does take time. I know in this modern world we want to take a pill and have everything, you know, there, like we want to lose weight instantly, we want to get a degree instantly. With some stuff, it just doesn't happen like that. Okay, and I'm still finding stuff out about my guides even now, so I'm not even sure that you'll ever know everything about all your guides, especially as some of them change. As I said earlier on, you can also have animal guides, and so they are there to work with you as well. And you may find if you have more of an affinity with animals that you spend more time connecting with your animal guides than you do your main guides. Okay. If you don't want to know your guides intimately, they will still work with you, but you're better off if you want to learn to trust someone to know things about them. So I hope that gives you a bit of an understanding about guides, and I can't really say enough times, meditate, meditate, meditate. Just keep practicing, write down your notes, compare your notes, and you will start to know that when your main guide steps forward, this happens, or you feel like this. When this other guide comes in, that's what he feels like or she feels like. So it's really up to you to build that relationship. So I hope that helps, and I look forward to reading for you again, or meeting you again, or giving you another video, or helping you in some shape or form. If you need me, you can go to my website, www.tracyfance.com.